Implementing the automation. So let us see about the API permissions. Use the search for permission box to filter the permissions table. Keep the following tips in mind when you are searching. The first is to see all the permissions for a specific service. Search for that service permission prefix followed by a period. For example, to see all the App Engine permissions, you need to search for the App Engine. And the second is to see which permissions are included in each role. And you need to use the predefined roles reference instead of the permission reference. Able to interact with the APIs and some lightweight scripting. This section describes how to construct the API request and handle the API responses from the Compute Engine API. So it covers how to construct a request body, determine the resource URIs necessary for a request, handle the API responses, and determines whether an API request has succeeded or not. Let us see about creating an API request. The Compute Engine API expects the API request to be in the JSON format. To make an API request, you can either make a direct HTTP request by using the tools like curl or the HTTP lib2, or you can even use one of the following client libraries. So when you make an API request that requires a request body, which may include a post, update, or a patch request. So the request body contains the resource properties that you want to set in the request. For example, the curl command makes a post request to the instance resource URI, and the request creates an instance with the properties defined in the request body. What are service accounts? A service account is a special kind of an account which is used by an application or a virtual machine instance, but not a person. So applications, they use the service accounts so that they can make an authorized API call, or authorized as either the service account itself or as the Google Workspace or the cloud entity users through some domain-wide delegation. For example, a Compute Engine virtual machine can run as a service account, and that account can be given permissions to access the resources it needs. This way, the service account is the identity of the service, and the service account permissions control which resources the service can access. A service account is identified by its email address, which is unique to the account. Now we'll know the differences between a service account and a user account. So service accounts differ from the user accounts in a few key ways, and they include: service accounts, they do not have the passwords and cannot log in via the browsers or the cookies. Service accounts are associated with the private public RSA key pairs that are used for the authentication to Google. You can let some other users or service accounts impersonate a service account. And the last difference is service accounts do not belong to your Google Workspace domain, unlike the user accounts. If you share the Google Workspace assets like the docs or events with your entire Google Workspace domain, they are not shared with the service accounts. Similarly, Google Workspace assets created by a service account are not created in your Google Workspace domain. As a result, your Google Workspace and Cloud Identity admins cannot own or manage these assets.
For more details, check the link in the description. Learn with Whizlabs. Success certified.